Hi everyone, I am here with your 813 lesson, How Else Can I Describe the Data, Shape and Spread. To continue your investigation of how to describe and represent data, today you will analyze the shape and spread of the data. As you work with your team, ask yourself these questions. How can I compare the data? What measures can help me compare the data? Is there a better way to describe or represent the data? Mrs. Ross is the school basketball coach. She wants to compare the scoring results for her team from two different games. The number of points scored by each player in each of the games are shown below. Game 1, Game 2. How many total players are on the team? So go ahead and answer part A. Okay. There are 10 players on the team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. What is the mean number of points per player for each game? So remember, mean is the average. So you want to add them all up and divide by how many players there are. So go ahead and do that, one for each game. Okay, if you found the mean, hopefully you got 10 points for each. Okay, so we added up all the point values, got 100 divided by the 10 players, we got 10 points for game 1. Same for game 2, added them all up, got 100 divided by 10, because that's how many players were on the team, 10 points. C is asking, what is the median number of points per player for each game? Remember, median is middle. So you want to line these up, largest or smallest to largest, and then figure out what is in the middle. So go ahead and do that. Finally, I also would like you to do the range. Okay, try and remember what range is. Okay, so if you finish part C and D, C, you needed to list them from smallest to largest, cross them out, you got 2 in the middle, they were 2 tens, add them together, divided by 2, you got 10 points as your median. Game 2, smallest to largest, add 9 and 11 together, 20 divided by 2, you get 10 points. Range, largest minus your smallest for game 1, 14 minus 4 equals 10, so your range is 10 points. In game 2, same thing, 14 minus 4 equals 10, your range is 10 points. So I wanted you to just answer those parts A, B, C, and D there. And now what I would like you to do is move on to question 832. 832, how can I measure spread? One way to measure the spread of data, how much variability there is in the data, is to calculate the range. However, Part D of Problem 830 shows that this measure may not provide a true sense of the spread. A better way to measure the spread of the data is to calculate the mean absolute deviation. Read the math notes box in this lesson for an explanation of mean absolute deviation, then follow the steps below to compute the mean absolute deviation for the basketball games. Copy the table at right, which you don't have to because it's on your paper. Then use it to calculate mean absolute deviation for game 1 of problem 830 by following the steps below. So I want you to follow these steps below in game 1. So I'll help you. The data value, we have 12, 10, 10, 8, 11, 4, 10, 14, 12, and then 9. And that's the first step. List the data values in the first column. Second step, in the second column, list the differences when the mean is subtracted from each value. So remember, our mean is 10. So I'm just going to write that up here, and you can't really see. There we go. The mean is 10. So 10 minus 10 is 0. 10 minus 10 is 0. 8 minus 10 is negative 2. 11 minus 10 is 1. Go ahead and finish filling out the rest of the column. Should have had negative 6, 0, 4, 2, negative 1. Step 3 says list the absolute value of the differences in the third column. So just absolute value, remember it's that value that's now positive. So 0, 0, 2, 1. Go ahead and finish the column. Should have had 6, 0, 4, 2, and then 1. Step 4, calculate the sum of the third column, the absolute values. So you're just adding up the absolute values. Go ahead and do that. When you get that, your sum should be 18. Hopefully you have that. And finally, divide the sum by the number of data values in the set to find the mean absolute deviation. So we have 18 divided by, there are 10 values in the set. That would be 1.8. So that means your mean absolute deviation is a 1.8. Part B says repeat the process from Part A to calculate the mean absolute deviation of the data from Game 2 in problem 830. So I would like you to do that. Okay, if you've done your mean absolute deviation, I actually drew myself a table here. Once you solved and got your absolute values, your sum would be 28 divided by 10. So that would mean your mean absolute deviation is 2.8. So overall, this mean absolute deviation is showing that Game 2 has more spread than Game 1. Flip it over. How can I describe the shape? Statisticians use the words below to describe the shape of data distribution. Use your vocabulary skills and the glossary if you need it to match the terms with the histograms that follow. Note that each histogram is described using 2 terms. So I would like you to try this on your own. Okay, if you're back with me, you have tried. So uniform and symmetric for this one. Symmetric because what's happening on the left is really happening on the right. Okay, uniform, it's all pretty much the same height. There's not a lot of change. I'm going to skip over to C because it's right here. C is single peaked because there's one that's taller than the rest. And it's also symmetric, again, because it looks like whatever's kind of happening on the left is mirrored on the right. B. B is double peaked. And symmetric. So double peak, you have kind of 2 high points right here. Okay, that's where your double peak again is, and again symmetric. Same thing that's happening on the left is basically happening on the right. Finally, D is skewed because all the data is to one side, and single peaked because again we have that guy right there. Okay, so that is your information on mean absolute deviation. Make sure you also, and shape and spread, some more on shape and spread. Please make sure you read the math notes box at the very end of your notes. That has good information as well. If you have any questions, please email me.